Good morning. My name is Adena Danuf. I use she, her pronouns, and I am your Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration. And today, I have a question for you. Has anyone ever played a game of telephone? Okay, I'm seeing lots of hands. You know the one where you whisper a message into the ear of someone, and they whisper what they heard into the ear of someone else, and then they share it with the next person, and so on until you listen to the message at the end and see if it's anything like the message you started with, which it is often not. Yes? Okay. Well, this story was kind of like that. So a man named George Revis wrote a story in the 1940s, and then a woman named Deborah Greenstein loosely adapted the story from that, and that story inspired me to share my own adaptation with you today, but hopefully, unlike the game, the message of the story will not be lost. It's a good one, so here it goes. Many years ago, the animals in the great forest decided that they wanted to start a school for all their children. They knew that people did school for their kids, so they called in some teachers, okay? Come on, teachers. Well, so the teachers met together and they decided that they were going to provide the same education to all of their animal students. So they adopted an activity curriculum consisting of swimming, running, flying, and climbing. They're animals, that makes sense, right? So all of the animals took all of the subjects. But here's what happened. The ducks were excellent at swimming. In fact, the ducks were even better than their teacher. But some of the ducks only made passing grades in flying, and all of them were very poor at running. And since they were so slow in running, they had to stay after school for remedial running practice, and they had to drop swimming class in order to practice more running. And then those ducks' little webbed feet were so very sore that they were so tired, they weren't even doing well in swimming anymore. But in running, the rabbits started at the top of the class, but they did very poorly in swimming. So they had to come early every day for special swimming class. Also, the rabbits insisted on hopping around, and the teachers were very, very concerned about their hyperactivity. So they made the rabbits walk everywhere instead of allowing them to run or hop. Now, on the other hand, the squirrels were excellent at climbing and running. In fact, the squirrels were the best students at climbing the standardized tree. But when they were told to fly, they started by climbing the tree and then spreading their paws and finally gliding to the ground. This is the way squirrels fly, after all. But in flying class, their teacher insisted that they start on the ground instead of at the treetop. And the squirrels were not doing very well. So every day the squirrels had flying therapy, where they were doing front paw exercises to strengthen their muscles so they could get ready to fly the right way. Now, the squirrels' paws hurt so much from this overexertion that some of them even got a C in climbing, and some of the other squirrels were failing altogether. And then there were the eagles. They were definitely seen as the problem children. In climbing class, the eagles beat all the others to the top of the tree, but they insisted on using their own way to get there, and they were quite stubborn about it. And the eagles said that clearly it was the goal that mattered, that it was quite all right for eagles to get to the treetop by flying, but the teachers disagreed. So the eagles ended up spending a lot of time with the school psychologist for being so defiant, and a strict behavior modification plan was developed for them. And then after a while, the animal parents started to worry. Duck parents didn't see why their duck kids weren't doing well in swimming, and the rabbit parents couldn't see why their rabbit kids weren't excelling in running, and the squirrel parents said that their poor squirrel kids were so tired and sore from flying therapy that they didn't even want to climb into their nests at night, and the eagles' kids' parents didn't think that their kids were defiant at all, just outspoken. And that's when the animal parents realized, when we try to make everybody the same, nobody is happy. People, or in this case animals, can get hurt and their very best gifts go to waste. But if we lived in a world where we validate each squirrel for being perfectly wonderful squirrel, Or a world where each rabbit knows that they are a lovely rabbit whether they choose to hop, skip, roll, or walk? What if we built a world where each eagle is allowed to be an eagle and we can encourage each duck to swim and swim and swim and not worry about learning how to run? Our differences make us who we are, and they should be shared with the world, not hidden or changed to be more like someone else. So whether you are more of a squirrel, a rabbit, a duck, or an eagle, or some other animal in the forest, you should know that who you are is wonderful, just the way you are. Now that doesn't mean, disclaimer, that doesn't mean that we don't work hard to grow and become better people in the world, but that's a story for another day. So for now, I want you to remember that so many of us here in our community like you, for you, and I hope that you will keep sharing more of who you are with me and all of us. Thank you.